I knew it. It's Kathy's body under the wax.
You shouldn't have done that, my dear. I'm going to give the people what they want. Sensation, horror, shock.
Welcome back to Cocktail Cinema, folks, your weekly movie review podcast. And it is spooky season here. I am your spookiest bartender and scariest author, Josh Price. And I am here with the Ghoul Boys, Greg and Shasti. How we doing?
Yo, good. Doing good. Real good.
I think the Ghoul Boys might be somebody else, but it's not trademarked, so we're going with it.
Let's do it.
Today, we are going to be discussing the original, but not quite original, House of Wax.
True.
This movie came out in 1953. It was directed by Andre de Toth, had a budget of $1 million, and a box office return of $23.75 million.
Oh, dang. 53?
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That's
damn good.
fantastic for that time period.
People
I mean,
love them
you can inflate those numbers by 7 times, at least, 700%,
Yeah.
at least. You know, so this is a big hit for that time period.
Okay.
Which is good news because they had some people to pay.
Yeah,
Greg.
well, we gotta bring the big man on campus back for more. Vincent Price as Professor Henry Jared. We're moving on to Phyllis Kirk as Sue Allen. Caroline Jones as Kathy Gray. Paul Persini as Scott Andrews. Frank Lovejoy, Lieutenant Tom Brennan. And Paul Kavanaugh as Sidney Wallace. Also, honorable mention, Mr. Charles Bronson as Igor, the deaf mute. I thought that was hilarious. I didn't notice that at all during
Bronson
the
and the Pythons.
right. With the look.
Jacked. Just jacked.
It's a scary
Ready to take down Vincent Price's body double.
Yeah. Vincent Price. He left something for up for challenge as far as that first fight scene in this movie. But
well,
sorry, we'll get there.
We'll get into it. Let's. I'm a little parched.
Yeah,
There's
I hear you.
a lot of fire in this movie. It's kind of warm.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's have a nice cold drink. Today, we are going to have the Wax Bramble. So this is a traditional gin drink. It is 1 ounce of gin, half an ounce of simple syrup, 1 ounce of lemon juice, and about 3 ounces of champagne. Pour that all over some ice, and there you are.
And some fire.
Smells good.
It's like a champagne lemonade, almost. Not too sweet, pretty tart.
Champagne cocktail.
Champagne cocktail.
Champagne cocktail.
I like it.
Yeah,
Definitely puts out that fire.
yeah. And I mean, the gin is a hard flavor to really play
True,
with.
true.
So this was a good place to land as far as our first gin drink. That said, this is one of the oldest movies we have reviewed, so let's take our time back in time and talk about the great Vincent Price. So, at this point in his career, he's kind of been waning a little bit. You know, he was an old school actor, and this movie really brought him back. This is the first major hit he'd had in probably 5 or 6 years, and it's a respectable film, and it put him back in the limelight, which is one of the things that cements it in its place in history.
Right. It's a tough one to get behind sometimes, Vincent Price coming back after those things into this. I mean, he did well. It took him a little bit to get started. It was kind of like the little engine that could.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the end, I was like, oh, yeah, heck yeah. But at the beginning, I was like, all right, Vince, set it off, my man. Set it off.
Absolutely. He brings that all-star caliber to this film. He really does. He's got the voice going. He's got the intensity and the look, and he really sells this role. Which, if you want to compare it to a movie he did somewhat concurrently around the same time, The House on Haunted Hill, that movie is very clearly just a joke from start to finish. It's a mess. The effects are terrible, and then you come on the scene with House of Wax, and this is a respectable performance in a respectable movie.
You mentioned something about the voice of his. It's kind of like that whole movie is a bunch of narrators. You know what I mean? As far as the men's voices in that. Actually, the women's too. I mean, Kathy Gray, Caroline Joe's character.
Yeah.
That squeaky kind of high pitch. It was like almost look like you're listening to a record. You know, like a old
It's that
dialogue
old-timey
record.
feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think the voices lended a hand to the whole overall feel of this. Because I mean, camera work was decent. I think we'll get into that plus what's the main talking point in this movie?
Practical effects.
There we go.
By
Boom.
far.
We're spooky season. Let's
So,
get it.
yeah. This, I mean, we have not seen practical effects on this level since probably The Thing.
Yeah.
As far as this show goes.
Right.
This is 1953. They didn't have computer generated effects, and there's only so many camera tricks you can pull off. So every scene where there's fire, that's real fire, and these actors are really doing these stunts.
Yeah, you can kind of tell for sure.
Vincent Price had his eyebrows singed off.
Nice.
So
It's
Yeah,
added
yeah.
to his later character in the movie.
Yeah, right.
And the fire scene. Yeah, they almost burned
Yeah,
down
they
the whole
really
set.
burned his face. He was
They
dedicated to the
lost,
role.
they lost control of
right.
the fire for a little bit.
He has no
yeah.
more hands. He can't sculpt.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's by far that is the leading character in the whole movie
Right.
is the effects.
Yep.
That's top billing for me.
Even for the release, I mean, it was released as a 3D, like
Yes.
the first
Yes.
3D and stereo sound movie for a big screen release.
I didn't know the stereo sound. I didn't know that was the
Yeah.
first 3D. Okay, that's cool.
It's the 3D. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the scenes you could tell were shot for that, like the
Yeah.
guy with the
ping pong or
paddle
the
ball.
paddle ball.
Yeah, right.
And the can dance.
Yes, yes.
So there's a couple of times where they directly address the audience. Like the guy with the paddle ball is
Yep.
like, "Oh, there's somebody with some popcorn. Let me see if I can get it in the bag."
Yep. Kick him
And-
out. This, that, and the other. Go back and forth and
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And
Which
that
I
was
thought
kind of
cool.
looked at as a gimmick for the critics at the time. Go
Well,
for
at the same time, it's a gimmick,
we all just
to
have
get, but at the same time, it's a gimmick to get people into the wax museum. Come on, bring
Yeah,
it in there.
yeah. He's a
yeah.
carnival barker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barker. That's actually he's
Yeah.
listed on the. I didn't put him in here
Hmm?
but as a cast member, he's listed as Barker on the.
I mean, that's
And the
exactly
ins and
what he's
outs.
doing. Yeah. And if you want to look at, there's only a handful of 3D movies that come out around this time, and like the original 13 Ghosts is one of them. And so the director of that movie gave out the red and blue glasses, and you could only see the ghosts through, I think, the red lens.
Gotcha.
So that was even more gimmicky. This flick, it utilizes the 3D, but it doesn't utilize it so much that it ruins the experience if you're watching it in standard definition. Where a lot of 3D movies, even today, if you don't watch them in 3D, they don't have the same effect. Robbie Rodriguez struggled with that with one of the Spy Kids movies. He did that movie in 3D, and it is a mess in standard definition. But this, unless you knew it was 3D, it doesn't detract from it. Like, those moments are definitely strange. You're being talked to by the carnival barker, but it doesn't ruin the movie.
Not at all. Actually, I like that part. I don't know about anybody else. I thought that was kind of a cool additive to that movie, just to kind of cut the pace, cut the
Right.
I don't know, cut the wax.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of cutting the wax, so one other major effect, I'm not even sure how they did it, but towards the end, in the final action scene, we have our female protagonist who is fighting Vincent Price, and that's when his face is revealed to be scarred up because she breaks his wax mask,
Yeah.
and it falls off, and it shows that
part
like
was
his
so
face
cool.
is completely burned.
So cool.
I don't know how they did that.
Right, I kind of thought the same.
Because his lips are still moving. Like, it's
Right.
got to be just this precision
Yeah,
cut.
and it seemed like there's a little bit of space in between his real face and the wax mask he was wearing.
Yeah.
But it fell off in such a way where it was believable as hell.
Yeah.
For this time period, are you kidding me? With no
incredible.
camera? You got to be
incredible.
kidding me. No CGI, I should say. I mean, it's
Yeah.
wow.
I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
impressed.
Throughout the whole, even the burning of the wax when it first kind of came down, and he talked about them as being his friends, his people. They gave instance and gave
Totally.
homage to every one of those wax people that were passing away, you should say.
Yeah.
And so for that to be taken from him in such a light, in such a manner,
Absolutely. So they establish his connection to the wax figures in those first couple of scenes, so that when his business partner lights the place on fire, you feel like he's actually murdering people, even though these are just wax figures.
And he's fighting for him. Like
He
we
is.
mentioned before a little bit about how
believable.
how can that little crotchety old man take down big old tall Vincent Price? Come on. After he fights off later,
know.
like
It's
five police officers at the end of the movie.
Well, I mean, at the end of the movie, he's angry and full of rage.
Well, his friends are dying. Where's the gusto?
I mean,
Where's the
his friends are
gumption?
dying again at the end. In the first one, he's just shocked. At the end, he's gone full villain. He's got that bad guy strength.
Right,
In the
right.
beginning, it's like every superhero villain is a weak, nerdy guy in the beginning,
But at the
and then
same
by
time-
the end, they're super.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And as time has passed, The guy got his $25,000 check or whatever. That guy. I thought that was awesome retribution as he just like
While he's counting his money.
Yep, and hung him off the side and put him right. He's the first guy, and he's hanging like front and row center.
Yeah.
And that's great. I thought the movie was put together pretty well. For me being such a horror
Hater.
this one was pretty cool. You know, it was actually a decent amount of idea originality. I know it was based on another one, in a book before this, but it came across well. I think I think Josh Price did a really good job.
I did a great job.
Him going from good guy to bad guy I thought was really cool. You can see it in the eyes, and he talked about the eyes a lot on his wax people.
Especially
his
Marie
eyes
Antoinette,
changed when he went nuts. Like his eyes changed. You could tell he's got that glimmer. They might have been like I think blue or something still, but there was some meanness.
Yeah.
There was something behind those eyes, and I thought he portrayed it well. I know, right?
Are killing.
And you know, tell me one artist that wouldn't be furious that somebody's up there picking at your sculpture.
You're
like,
right.
I'm like, okay, lady, you're
the hell
way out.
down.
This movie is done right there. It's like, sorry, you're in jail.
And the second time she does it,
Yeah,
like
right.
she goes back to poke at it. He's like, you really shouldn't have done that. Like, he's still very calm about it. He's like, no, I have to kill you.
Yep,
Like,
that's it. That's done.
yeah. The only thing that I think detracts from the movie is it's two things, really. Two characters. It's the detectives. The
cops, yeah.
Because they are very, like, goofy noir.
Yeah.
They're cops, see? Yeah, they're
Yeah.
good.
They're narcs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They're
they weren't even able to-
the untouchables.
Right. Because
and-
he couldn't even tell about himself. You know, what do you do? Whatever he said. I'm in real estate or something like
I'm
that.
an engineer on the 13th
Yeah, there you go.
Street rail line.
Right.
Okay,
Out
officer,
track.
you just lost your badge too. But that
Yeah.
But they like at the end after Vincent Price has been boiled in wax.
yeah.
And they're sitting in the detective's office. They make two jokes about wax heads. The first is,
Oh yeah.
well, ma'am, you just nearly lost your head. Do you want to take this wax figure as a substitute?
It's as like the shot pans out from her.
From her wax
From
head.
her, yeah.
Yeah.
wax head.
Yeah, and then the second one is they grab Igor's
Igor.
head off of the shelf, and they're like, by the time he gets out of Sing Sing, this wax figure's gonna have a full beard.
Yeah, and I think
And
that's
it's
cringeworthy.
so hokey.
It's cringeworthy.
So hokey.
The movie was going so well until
What?
it's like now you're gonna say that to this woman who's been through this much, like who lost her best friend, called everybody out for her being dead, and now you're gonna be like, oh, you want a keepsake of your head? Like,
Right,
You gotta be
like,
kidding me. The movie was good.
Remember
before
that time you almost got your head cut off? That was great.
What's wrong with you?
It's like
People weren't as sensitive.
Right.
well, we're coming out of the 40s still. So like everything is the MPAA or whatever the equivalent was back then had to be like, well, you can't be too serious. So they have to make jokes. So what we wind up with is like the SNL Tony Bennett. Like remember when Tony Bennett was on Celebrity Jeopardy and he's just talking about terrible stuff,
my God.
but in that jokey manner? That's what's going on here.
Yep.
And it does take you out of it, but at the same time, it cements it in its time period.
I suppose.
It's like this is early 50s.
Kind of a
Everything
walk
is
out
hokey.
of the movie anyway, so it's
I mean, they're making, at this point, Hollywood has just transitioned from making a movie a week to, like, each studio is putting out a movie a week to having more structured releases and having more value to the art and more artistic design behind the film. So they're still transitioning out of the nonsense,
Yeah.
and some of it lingers.
I think the main part of it was to have people laughing on their way out instead of like, oh, that was fucked up.
Yeah, right. Man, I hope nobody
Send 'em
does
out,
that in our town.
Send them out hitting up the popcorn machine.
Much
another
different
icy
than the
before we
most
get out.
current House of Wax. Very much different.
Yeah, the when was that? 2005.
I have no idea.
With Chad Michael Murray and Paris
Paris
Hilton.
Hilton, right? Yeah, no.
What a star-studded cast
I
there.
haven't seen that one actually.
I saw that first. I saw both of those. I saw 2005 and the 1953 the same Halloween season when I was in college. But as we start to wrap up, I would like to point out that this year we are kind of tagging the different eras of horror, or three of the different eras of horror. So with Tucker and Dale, we had kind of the postmodern. With Friday the 13th, we had the beginning of the slasher movement in 1980.
Right.
And here we have we're exiting the creature feature being the primary horror film into this crime noir, which dominates the genre for the next 10 to 15 years. And this movie kind of does that. It's less hokey than its peers, even though we were just making fun of it for that. And it
True.
is less hokey than the movies that are coming out around it.
You have
so,
to talk about Vincent Price at some point.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. And so I think that's why, that's one of the things that makes this movie important, not just historically speaking, but also for why we chose it this year and why we're diving into it right now. But that said, here at Cocktail Cinema, we also do something kind of hokey where we rate our movies out of 100 tacos because tomatoes can suck it. So, Gregory, out of 100 tacos, what do you give House of Wax?
Still going back and forth. Sitting right at the B- level here. 77 tacos. 72nd tacos.
Excellent.
Not the best. Obviously, Dave said it before. I'm a hater of this genre, but I think they pulled it off pretty well. Vincent Price did a great job. The lighting in this movie stands out. Practical effects. I mean, 77 all day.
Totally.
Yeah.
Shasti?
I give it 80.
Cool.
Yeah, stereo, the first stereo sound movie. 3D is, you know what I mean? I get what a lot of the critics said it was gimmicky or whatever, but I feel like screw what the critics say most of the time, right? Because it's carved its own lane in the cult classics for horror flicks.
Yeah.
And it's inspired a lot of other stuff that we still love and appreciate today.
Absolutely.
So
Dig it.
eight
Dig it.
piece.
Yeah.
I can get on board with that.
8-piece chicken.
I am going to give this movie a 79 for a lot of the same reasons. This movie is definitely important. I recommend people watch it, especially if you are a student of film. This movie has a lot of historicity behind it. But when you stack it up against everything that built on it, it's not the best of its genre. Still worth watching, but more in a sense where you need to recognize its place in history rather than just how good it is.
Yep.
Because it started so many things that we do better now. And I mean, somebody had to do it first.
Right. I mean, my sister came over when I was watching it, and I just had her walk in. And she's like, "What the hell are you watching? House of Wax? You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it." Oh, excellent. So the Rotten Tomatoes score is varied here, folks.
Whoa.
Critics give this movie a 95, and the
Holy
audiences
hell.
give this a 73. So we're kind of sitting in the middle there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's fair.
That's only 43 reviews. I feel like there's closer to 100 usually.
Oh,
for,
right.
like,
Yeah, that's
tomato.
true.
Like,
That's
usually
true.
80-ish. At least
Yeah,
for
yeah.
what we've been looking at. But
Yeah, you're not wrong.
yeah, we're in
That's
the
good
middle.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right in the middle there. So, folks, hop on down to the comments if you're watching this on YouTube and tell us what your rating is for House of Wax and let us know why you gave it that rating. You know, all the good stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe. If you're listening to this on a podcast provider, go ahead and rate us. Every little bit counts. Every little bit helps. We appreciate all of it. If you'd like to go even further with your support of Sippable Opinions, hop on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/sippableopinions. There, for as little as $1 a month, you can support us and get exclusive access to all of our content. We have exclusive shows, early access to our podcasts, and pilots that you'll get nowhere else. That said, we're going to cut this one a little short and be a little hokey here at the end because Greg, thank you for watching this ridiculous mess.
I like
Shasti, thank you for watching this ridiculous
I had
mess.
fun. I love the movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. We're going to stop now so you can go watch House of Wax, and we're going to say goodbye.
You shouldn't have done that, my dear. I'm going to give the people what they want.